In 2006. A nationwide general knowledge contest for the title Brain of Britain 2006. The chairman is Robert Robinson.
Hello. In the second of our semi-finals, four contenders, keen as mustard, return to compete with each other. This time they are from the south of England and the Midlands, and they are Mark Grant, an accountant from Bromley in Kent, John Thompson, a voluntary worker from Crawley, East Sussex, Dr. Ian Bailey, a lecturer from Headington, Oxford, and David Edwards, a teacher now retired from Denston in Staffordshire. The rules remain quite immovable, as ever, with 5 right in a row, gaining a 6th mark, and the reliable old 10 seconds remaining for thought. Here is the first question for Mr. Grant. What would be the prime characteristic of a geographical zone described as savanna?
Grassland.
Yes, indeed. Which humanitarian organisation has received 3 Nobel Prizes in 1917, 1944 and 1963, its founder also winning one of the very first prizes in 1901.
International Red Cross.
Exactly. This year saw the 30th anniversary of the Soweto riots against the South African apartheid regime. A few months after these events, nominal independence was granted to the first of a number of so-called Bantu homelands. Which was the first in October 1976?
Transkei?
Correct. Blank verse is unrhymed verse which still follows a metrical pattern, usually in English that of iambic pentameters. What term is used for unrhymed verse which follows no strict metrical pattern, depending instead on the rhythm of the verse?
Free verse?
Yes. What, in biological terms, is a vestigial organ?
One which no longer serves any purpose.
That's right. Like, I was going to say, you know, that thing that gets inflamed. Appendix, that's what I was thinking of, yes. And you're quite right, and that is 5 in a row, and you get an extra mark. A very good start indeed, Mr. Thompson. Which theory concerning the origin of the universe is particularly associated with the Belgian civil engineer, priest and astronomer Georges Lemaitre?
The Big Bang?
Yes. Espoo, Turku and Olu, all with populations of more than 100,000, are among the largest cities of which European country?
Albania?
No. Mr. Edwards?
Finland.
Finland is quite right. Now whose turn? Dr. Bailey's turn. Which 2-word Latin phrase for a very private or sacred place translates as Holy of Holies?
Sacristy?
No. Mr. Grant?
Sanctum Sanctorum?
Is quite right. Whose turn, Mr. Edwards? Which South American soldier and statesman became known as the Liberator?
Simon Bolivar.
Yes, you're quite right. In the orders of classical architecture, which area above the columns normally comprises the architrave, frieze and cornice?
The capital?
No. Dr. Bailey?
Entablature.
Entablature is the answer there. Well done. And let us see how the scores open. They open like this. 1 to Mr. Thompson, 1 to Dr. Bailey, 2 to Mr. Edwards, and 7 to Mr. Grant. Can you tell us, Mr. Grant, on which day of the week does Prime Minister's questions take place in the House of Commons?
Tuesday?
No. 6 to go. Mr. Edwards?
Wednesday.
Wednesday is right. Well done. Yes. It's your turn, Mr. Thompson. Which singer who died in 2003 is portrayed by Joaquin Phoenix in the film Walk the Line, released in the United Kingdom this year?
Johnny Cash.
Yes, you're right. What is the name of the metal frames with steel spikes which are strapped onto a mountaineer's shoes to provide grip on ice and snow?
Crampons.
Yes. Now a byword or shorthand term used rather pejoratively for stirring tales with imperialist implications, which publication aimed at boys, lasting from 1879 until 1967, was an initiative of the Religious Tract Society and featured contributions from Conan Doyle and Jules Verne, among others.
The Boy's Own Paper.
Correct. Which type of ancient war galley, powered by 3 banks of oars, was the dominant vessel in the Mediterranean at the height of Greek civilization?
The Trireme.
Yes. Which sequence in Roman Catholic and some Anglican worship commences with Pilate's condemnation of Jesus and ends with the entombment of Christ's body?
That's the Passion.
No? Mr. Edwards?
The Stations of the Cross.
Is quite right. It's your turn, Dr. Bailey. Who wrote the plays The Admirable Crichton, Quality Street, and What Every Woman Knows?
Barry.
Yes,
J.M.
he
Barrie.
did. And as Philip Guedella said of him, the cheerful clatter of Sir James Barrie's cans as he goes round with the milk of human kindness. I think that's about right, really. In relation to heat, what would be the effect of an endothermic chemical reaction?
It would take in heat from the surroundings.
It would absorb heat, yes, you're right. Which Pacific island nation, seriously threatened now by rising sea levels, used to be called the Ellis Islands, but since independence has a name which apparently means cluster of 8, although there are 9 main islands?
Tuvalu.
Yes. Which method of propagation in gardening involves bringing together a bud or stem of one variety, sometimes referred to as a scion, and the rootstock of another?
Grafting.
Yes. Amelia Sedley is the best friend, and in terms of character, a contrasting counterpart to which scheming heroine of 19th century literature?
Becky Sharp.
You're quite right, sir. 5 in a row and an extra mark. Well done, Dr. Bailey. He gets the extra mark. We pass on to Mr. Edwards. Which word is used in weather forecasting for an area of low pressure?
A depression.
No. A trough is the answer. Yes, indeed. And at the end of that round, let's see how things stand. We now have 4 for Mr. Edwards, 5 for Mr. Thompson, 7 for Dr. Bailey, 7 for Mr. Grant. Mr. Grant, the book entitled Trains and Buttered Toast is a collection of talks dealing with particular enthusiasms of their authors, which were originally given on radio over a period of more than 40 years, from the 1930s to the 1970s. It was published this year to coincide with the 100th anniversary of the birth of the man who wrote and delivered them. Who was the writer?
John Bitumen.
Yes. What was decided by an historic vote at St Hilda's College, Oxford, this year?
To let men in.
Yes. We now hear a piece of music. Following Madame Butterfly in 1904, various problems contributed to a gap of 6 years before Giacomo Puccini produced another opera. This is part of a major soprano aria. Yes, The Girl of the Golden West. That was the aria Laggiù nel Soleda, sung there by Carol Neblett as Minnie, the girl of the title, with the orchestra of the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, conducted by Zubin Mehta. Meganeura was a giant insect of the Carboniferous period, which is sometimes described as the largest insect that has ever lived. What sort of insect was it?
Dragonfly.
A dragonfly is quite right. The doctrine of nullification was a contributory factor in the long build-up to the American Civil War. What did the doctrine propose?
That there be no slavery allowed in new states.
Wasn't that, Dr. Bailey?
That individual states had the right to nullify laws from the federal government, specifically tariff laws in the case of South Carolina.
Precisely so, sir. Well done. Well done. Mr. Thompson, the Impact Prize, or Impact Dublin Literary Award, to give it its full title, is the richest literary prize worth €100,000. This year it went for the first time to an Irish author, Colm Tóibín, for his novel The Master, which deals with incidents in the life of a writer of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Which writer was that?
Joyce?
No. Dr. Bailey?
George Bernard Shaw.
No. Mr. Grant?
Yeats?
No. Now, Mr. Edwards?
Oscar Wilde?
No. It was Henry James. But as Oscar Wilde said of Henry James, Mr. Henry James writes fiction as if it were a painful duty. And I think that's a bullseye, really. Dr. Bailey, which country whose mainland is physically the closest to Antarctica has more permanent research stations there than any other country?
Chile.
No. Mr. Grant?
Argentina?
Argentina's right. Mr. Edwards, as part of her 80th official birthday celebrations at Buckingham Palace on June the 17th this year, Queen Elizabeth II received a feu de joie, something which was once a relatively common part of significant national celebrations. What is a feu de joie?
A type of firework display.
No. Could easily be. Nicely deduced, sir. Wrong, but interesting. Mr. Thompson?
It's a rifle salute.
Yes, it is. A cascade of gunshots. Yeah, well done, yes. But you're quite right. I think it's rifles, and they fired blanks. At the end of the round, 4 to Mr. Edwards, 6 to Mr. Thompson, 8 to Dr. Bailey, 12 to Mr. Grant. Now, one of our listeners challenges our 4 contenders, who must consult with each other. Mrs. Sarah Davis from Ilminster in Somerset. Here is the first of 2 questions she sends. Which Member of Parliament for Kingston upon Hull wrote a poem addressed to his coy mistress? I can assure you it was not John Prescott.
Marvel.
Well done, it was Andrew Marvell. Her second question, Mrs. Davis' second question, which Member of Parliament for Kingston upon Hull helped found the Church Missionary Society and the British and Foreign Bible Society, and was described by Madame de Stael as the most religious and the wittiest man in England? Again, not John Prescott.
Is it William Wilberforce?
Well done, yes, it was. So you got both right. That means you have defeated Mrs. Davis. She doesn't get her book token. I hope you're pleased with yourself. You're looking a little abashed, as well you might. But she does get this round of applause. Mr. Grant, which type of craftsman would use traditional tools called hardies, swedges and fullers?
Stonemason?
No. Dr. Bailey?
Thatcher?
No. Mr. Thompson?
Laundryman?
No. Mr. Edwards?
A weaver?
No. A blacksmith is the answer. Mr. Thompson, which word of Persian origin is used as an honorific to describe someone who has learned the entire Quran by heart?
I'm sorry, it's gone.
No. Mr. Grant?
Hafiz?
Hafiz is quite right. Dr. Bailey, in June this year, a special service was held at the Bevis Marks Synagogue in London, the oldest surviving one in Britain, to mark the 350th anniversary of a landmark decision. Which decision was that?
The decision by Cromwell, I think it was, to let Jews back into Britain.
Correct, sir, in every particular. Yes. Which European country, Dr. Bailey, has a currency called the kuna, which means pine marten, because its valuable pelt was once used as currency? The kuna, comprising 100 lipa, which means linden tree.
Croatia.
Yes. Gaspar Felix Tournachon, a native Parisian, and a generation later Gyula Olas, of Hungarian origin and born in what is now Romania, were both pioneers of photography, particularly associated with Paris. Both of them achieved fame under one-word pseudonyms. Can you tell us either pseudonym?
Nadar?
Correct. The other is Brassai. Well done, yes. Can you tell us, Dr. Bailey still, which Charles Dickens novel features the sinister headmaster Bradley Headstone, who is obsessed with Lizzie Hexam?
Copperfield?
No. Mr. Edwards?
Our Mutual Friend.
Correct, sir. Your turn. CICs are a new type of socially responsible business enterprise created by the Department of Trade and Industry last year, designed to use their profits and assets for the benefit of local communities rather than for private advantage. For what phrase does CIC stand?
Currency Independent Companies.
No, jolly nice try. Dr. Bailey?
Is it City and Industry College?
No, another good try. Mr. Thompson?
Cooperative Industry Company.
Lovely try, sir, but no. Mr. Grant?
Community Investment Corporation.
No. Community interest companies is the answer. You all went all round it, very near, but not quite on it. And so, let me tell you how the scores have changed. What we have now is 5 for Mr. Edwards, 6 for Mr. Thompson, 11 for Dr. Bailey, 13 for Mr. Grant. Mr. Grant, with victory in the European Championships this year, Craig Fallon became the first British male competitor to hold both European and world titles in his sport since Neil Adams in 1983. What sport was that?
Squash.
No. Dr. Bailey?
Judo.
Judo. Quite right. Now, Mr. Thompson, President Bush this year created the world's largest marine nature reserve, slightly larger than the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park. Where in the Pacific is the reserve?
Of Costa Rica.
No. Dr. Bailey?
Hawaii?
Is quite right. Hawaii is correct. And now it is your turn, Dr. Bailey. A town in the southern Netherlands, near to the Belgian border, was a key frontier town in the Dutch war against Spain. Its surrender to the Spanish in 1625 being celebrated in a famous painting by Velázquez. It was also the scene of an important declaration by Charles II just before his restoration to the British throne. What is the town called?
Breda.
It is. What is the name of the traditional Hindu holistic system of medicine, from Sanskrit words for, quote, knowledge of life?
Vedanta?
No. Mr. Grant?
Ayurvedic.
Yes. I think that's right, isn't it? Yes. I didn't think you couldn't pronounce it. I knew I couldn't, even though I've written it out phonetically. I'm glad you said it. It means I don't have to. You got it quite right. Whose turn? Mr. Edwards. Which berries are also sometimes referred to as bounce berries, particularly in North America, because good ripe ones are supposed to do exactly that. If you drop them, they bounce, you catch them, I suppose.
Blueberries.
No. Now, Mr. Thompson.
Cranberries.
Absolutely right. You picked the right one. It seemed possibly out of the air, but who knows. The scores are 5 to Mr. Edwards now, 7 to Mr. Thompson, 14 to Dr. Bailey, 14 to Mr. Grant. Mr. Grant, the Chinese government this year announced the completion of the main construction phase, ahead of schedule, of a controversial dam project on the middle reaches of the Yangtze River. What is the dam called?
Three Gorges.
Yes. Now, we hear a piece of instrumental music for drums, which was the biggest solo hit for the performer and was the first of his 3 successive top 20 hits in the 1970s. What was his name? Now, what was the name of that?
Ted Nugent.
No. Mr. Edwards.
Was it Cozy Powell?
It was Cozy Powell. Well done. John Thompson's turn now. The recent novel Silverfin by Charlie Higson, best known for his comedy acting and writing, is aimed at older children and tells the story of the early years of which hero?
James Bond.
Correct. Which goddess, either her Greek or Roman name will do, is sometimes shown in art carrying a torch, a symbol of her search for her kidnapped daughter, who has in fact been taken to the underworld?
Demeter.
Yes. Or you could have said Ceres, and both are right, each in its different language, and the daughter is called Persephone, I think I remember. In 1922, a meeting was held at the Carlton Club in London, at which members of the Conservative Party decided, in effect, to leave the coalition government under David Lloyd George, precipitating in due course the fall of the government. A key speech condemning Lloyd George as a dynamic force, which was felt to be a bad thing, was given by a man who would himself become Prime Minister within a few months. Who was he?
Bonar Law.
No, Mr. Edwards.
Stanley Baldwin.
Is right. Your turn, Dr. Bailey. The resort of Lytham in Lancashire stands on the estuary of which river?
Fylde.
No.
F-Y-L-D-E. No.
Mr. Edwards?
The Ribble.
The Ribble is right. It's your turn. The Hales Trophy, awarded in the field of transportation, has been the official prize since the 1930s for an achievement which is still much better known by another, more evocative name, predating the trophy by some decades. Which name is that?
Is it the Blue Ribbon?
It is the Blue Ribbon. For the fastest crossing of the Atlantic by a passenger vessel. Coffee culture and a proliferation of outlets for it have been very evident in recent years, which Italian word, meaning literally stained or marked, is used to describe a variety of espresso where a tiny dollop of steamed milk is added. Outside.
Sorry.
Mr. Grant.
Macchiato.
Macchiato is right. And now, let's see how the scores stand. 9 to Mr. Edwards, 9 to Mr. Thompson, 14 to Dr. Bailey, 16 to Mr. Grant. And with Mr. Grant, we start our final round. A slightly revised version of The Likes of Us, a musical about Dr. Bernardo, was given its first public performance in July last year, 40 years after it was written as the first collaboration of a musical partnership. Which partnership?
Lloyd Webber and Rice.
Absolutely correct. Well done, yeah. The collection of medieval art at a museum called the Cloisters, secondly, the Frick Collection, and thirdly, the Whitney Museum of American Art, are all situated in which city?
New York.
Yes. Roger Federer narrowly failed in his bid to hold all 4 of lawn tennis's Grand Slam titles at the same time when he lost in the final of this year's French Open to a Spanish player who had become something of a nemesis for him, although his revenge was gained at Wimbledon. What is the Spaniard's name?
Pedro Almodovar.
No. Dr. Bailey?
Rafael Nadal.
Yes, you're quite right. Nadal is right. Mr. Thompson? What was the title of Anita Lucy's 1927 companion piece to her 1925 satirical novel, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes? I have to admit my ignorance. I'd never heard of it. I don't know if that helps or hinders.
Neither have I.
Dr. Bailey?
Gentlemen marry brunettes.
Well done, sir. Have you read it?
Certainly not.
Not yet. Dr. Bailey, it's your turn again. Where would you find an area known as an abyssal plain?
At the bottom of the ocean.
It is in an area of deep ocean floor. You're right. Sweetheart, Balmerino, Deer and Melrose are all ruined abbeys in Scotland which belong to which religious order?
Cistercians?
Yes. Which political philosophy of the late 19th and early 20th centuries advocated the taking of power by direct action by workers, especially through trade unions?
Syndicalism?
Yes. The book Micrographia, published in 1665, was a pioneering work in the field of studies using the microscope. It was among the many achievements of which scientist, inventor and architect who worked across many scientific disciplines.
Hawke.
Yes. A new award in the field of the arts began last year with the institution of the Queen's Medal for Music, the first recipient being the conductor Sir Charles Mackerras, on which appropriate day was the presentation made.
St. Cecilia's Day?
Absolutely right. 5 in a row. A remarkable run-up to the final, the conclusion, not the final, but the semi-final conclusion. How, Mr. Edwards, are the sisters Claire and Solange described in the title of a controversial 1947 play by the French author Jean Genet?
Les deux sœurs.
No, Dr. Bailey.
The Maids.
The Maids is quite right. Yes, indeed. And that brings us to the end of our final round, and the final scores are these. 9 to Mr. Edwards, 9 to Mr. Thompson, 18 to Mr. Grant, 23 to Dr. Bailey. Well, that was a remarkable spurt. You came up on the rails and you edged ahead of Mr. Grant. You did very well. And so, therefore, Dr. Bailey, you, of course, win and you go forward to the final. Next week, we have the third semi-final with 4 contestants from the north and west of England and Scotland. Until then, I bid you goodbye.
The chairman of Brain of Britain was Robert Robinson. The questions were set by Kevin Ashman. The programme was devised by John P. Wynne and the producer was Richard Edis. Lucia put